can you be successful and still feel unfulfilled? That is the question that we're going to talk about today. I think a lot of people equate success with being happy, and that's not always the case. Now, obviously, if you are scrimping together, change from your couch to fill up your gas tank, you are unhappy and you are not successful in your mind, right? However, people think if I just had money, I would be happy. And a lot of people get to huge success and are still not fulfilled. Does that mean that they're not happy? No, but they still have something that they want to prove. And so I want to go into this topic of success versus fulfillment, and how do we take the two separately and how do we put them together so that you can be both successful and fulfilled in life. Because really, happy life is what we're all looking for. I always say to clients of mine or to people that I talk to that I help people get to financial freedom, financial independence, because that is what people are looking for. Not always the same level of success that everybody thinks it has to be. So, we've all heard of these people who have six-figure, salaries or big businesses, and they are still working. They are still doing things. And why is that? Why do we have people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and even Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett is in his 90s and he is still running Berkshire Hathaway. Now he's stepping down towards the end of the year, but he's still going to be chairman of the board. I mean, he's 90 something years old. He has so much money. He is definitely successful. Why is he still doing this? And I think that there is a difference between successful and fulfillment, and we're going to look into that. Now, I want to start with a quote from Tony Robbins that I love. It says, "Success without fulfillment is an ultimate failure." Now, I was very lucky to sit down and listen to Tony Robbins speak to a small group of people, maybe 150 of us were there, talking about this. And I noticed that he moved into this topic because he looked around the room and there, on paper, are very successful people sitting in that room. A lot of us are financial advisors, helping people. Some of us make a really good salary. Some of us make an okay salary. Some of us are just starting and make no salary. But a lot of people in this industry make a lot of money. And he started talking about fulfillment. And it got me thinking that how many people in that room, and they could all be extremely happy, I don't know. But how many people in that room were successful on paper, but still not fulfilled? They were still trying to get to something. And it doesn't mean that fulfillment equals happiness. It might just mean that there are stones unturned that they want to turn. There are things that they want to accomplish. And how do we get to that viewpoint of fulfillment rather than just doing what is traditionally what is considered to be successful on paper? Now, successful on paper, when I talk about that, it's net worth, it's retiring, it's having a huge amount of money, it's having, I would say, financial freedom or financial independence. It's having all of that stuff, right? So we sit back and we say, if I just had X amount of money, I would be fulfilled. And that's not always the case. I've had conversations with people that have hit that mark, that have hit that financial independence number. And I sit back and I say, you don't have to keep doing what you're doing. And I often will get this look of, well, what else am I supposed to do? Look. And they are still not finished. Maybe they want to do other things. Maybe they want to continue building the business that they're building or continue with the job that they're doing. Maybe they don't know what they would fill their day with. Sometimes that's the answer. But I think we focus a lot on, if I hit this number, I will be successful and happy and fulfilled. And instead, I think we need to build some fulfillment into our journey as we are trying to hit that financial freedom number. So how do we do something like that? Well, I call it bucket list planning. So what I mean by that is living a life you love now, but also building towards something so you can continue to do that. So let's say you're doing pretty well, you're saving money, you're hitting your goals, all that stuff, and you want to take the trip to Italy. Now, a lot of people who are very focused on financial freedom say, are you crazy? I'm not taking a trip to, that's like 10 grand. That would throw me completely off. Not necessarily. Maybe we build that into your planning so that you're able to go fulfill a dream of going to Italy, or a dream of buying a second home, or a dream of having a yacht. I'm making them all materialistic things, but maybe it's buying the home for your mom that she lives in. Maybe it's sending your kids to college without them having to get a loan. Maybe it is giving, a 6-figure check to your favorite charity. I don't know what fulfillment is going to mean to you, okay? I don't know if you're a business owner, you probably have a mission and a reason you started your business, and that getting to that is your fulfillment. But like I mentioned, you've got big names out there like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk that are so wealthy, have accomplished so much, and yet they're sitting there tinkering with trying to put rockets up into the sky. Not that that's not important, it's very important for us, but why are they doing that? They're doing it because there is some kind of need to feel more fulfilled. And again, like I said, fulfillment doesn't necessarily mean happiness, but it means feeling like you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Now, is there a chance that you will never feel fulfilled? There is a chance. There's definitely a chance. But some people can get to fulfillment and be able to just sustain. And I know of definitely people who are retired, who have spent their lives working, retired, and they love just sitting and reading and doing stuff in their garden and seeing their grandkids and all of that kind of stuff. They are fulfilled in their lives. And then there are other people who are 75 years old and they are just going because they have not hit that fulfillment for themselves. And so I think instead of, we always talk about goal planning. And I'm going to give you one little nugget to take away with this, that maybe you can be on the track of both success and fulfillment. So, instead of just writing down your goals for the year, because we're at I would say towards the end of the year, we've hit September of 2025. And I would say instead of necessarily just writing down savings goals and goals for, you can't really do a goal for a rate of return, but savings goals, and maybe you're buying another house, or maybe you want to do this, or whatever your goals are, your financial goals are, I want to spend less money in this area, I want to save for this, I want to do that kind of stuff. Maybe you start building in a value-based goal. What do you truly want? When that time comes that you can make every day a Saturday, and every day is Saturday, I always say that Saturday is your most expensive day, so you've hit your financial freedom point, right? Every day can become a Saturday if you want it to. How are you going to act? How are you going to fill your day? How are you going to feel satisfied in your life? And if you kind of shudder when you hear that every day could be Saturday for you right now, then you're not ready. I'm not ready. If somebody said, you guys have hit your goal and you don't need to do this anymore, my husband and I have lots of discussions with this. And I would say you should have lots of discussions about this with your partner, with your friends. Really take time to talk about this, because this is the most important thing. When you put your head down on the pillow at 110 or whatever year you want to be when you pass away, what are you going to be thinking about? Fulfillment. not about monetary success. And so when you put your head down on that pillow the last time in your life, with a smile on your face, how are you going to think of your life? And what are you going to feel? And I know that that's scary. Nobody likes thinking about that time in your life, but I think about it a lot because I want to make sure that I feel proud of what I did, that I helped as many people as possible, and that I lived a virtuous life, meaning that I lived a life of a good person. Those are my goals. And going to Italy and going to Greece and all of that is definitely things I want to do, okay? But those are my mottos in life. And I'm still trying to figure out, how do I make sure I hit that in a way that is fulfilling for me? So you want to do values-based goals. I want you to do that exercise. Think about, what will you be thinking that moment that you close your eyes for the last time on this earth? Hopefully at a very ripe old age with a lovely life behind you. And, start thinking about flexibility over accumulation. So when you become financially free, does that mean that you've accumulated all this stuff? Possibly. But does that mean you've hit a point that you can be more flexible with your schedule? And that's really what people want, is flexibility. Being able to go and do what you want when you want without worry. That is what people want when they want financial independence or freedom. And I would say, think beyond retirement. What do you want your money to do for you in the next 3 to 5 years? Whether that's in retirement or before retirement. What do you want your money to do for you? Because thinking in shorter time spans often can get you there a lot faster, so that you have this problem where you're sitting there saying, I'm successful, but I'm unfulfilled. I mean, it's really I hate to say it, a first world problem, right? I'm successful, but I'm unfulfilled. But I do think that Tony Robbins has a really good point. What is the difference between success and fulfillment? And maybe if we were focused more on fulfillment, we would actually achieve success a lot faster. So hopefully this gets you thinking about this, because, we're starting to hit, September. We always say Labor Day is kind of the official start of the holidays, which is our little joke, but it seems to be true, because as soon as Labor Day hits, we're at Christmas already. But essentially, this is the time of year that you really want to reflect on your past year. You want to reflect on what you want your next year to be. This is the time to start thinking about it. Don't do it on December 31st like every other schmuck out there. Do it with intention and think about fulfillment. What is going to fulfill you? And you want to make sure that the fulfillment is stress-free. That is going to keep you on the track for the success part of it too, because you can be fulfilled and still be really stressed out about money, which you don't want to have happen. So I hope this made you think about a couple things. I hope that this was kind of a relief from just talking about, save more, do this stuff. This is going to be exercises, if you choose to do this, which I really hope you do. This is going to be an exercise that will leave you inspired by yourself. And I think that's wonderful. So with that, stay strong out there, keep fighting the good fight, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.